The encounter. The chandeliers of altitudes reflected prisms across the marble floor as Vikram Singh adjusted his custom-tailored Armani jacket. At 42, he carried himself with the practiced confidence of a man who had conquered his world. His tech company, Horizon Innovations, had just secured another round of funding that morning, $300 million that would cement his position among Bangalore's elite. "The 2009 Bordeaux, sir," the sommelier murmured, presenting the bottle for his approval. Vikram nodded without looking up from his phone. Around him, 4 potential investors laughed at a joke he hadn't bothered to hear. "As I was saying," Vikram continued, sliding his phone away, "the quantum computing division will revolutionize how we process financial algorithms. The Saudi investors are already—" A disturbance near the entrance caught his attention. The maitre was speaking in hushed but firm tones to someone just beyond Vikram's line of sight. Then, despite the staff's protests, a thin man in faded clothes shuffled into view, moving slowly between the tables. Vikram's jaw tightened. The restaurant occupied the top floor of Bangalore's tallest building, with a waiting list stretching months. Yet somehow this intruder had managed to bypass security. The man, perhaps in his 70s, approached a nearby table where a family was finishing their meal. "Excuse me," he said softly, his voice carrying a dignity that contradicted his appearance. "I don't want money. I just wondered if you might spare some food." The family looked uncomfortable but handed him a bread roll. He accepted it with a bow of gratitude before moving to the next table. Conversation at Vikram's table faltered as the man worked his way closer. One of the investors, a woman from Singapore, shifted uncomfortably. "Don't worry," Vikram said loudly. "Security will handle it." But no security appeared, and the elderly man eventually reached their table. Up close, Vikram could see the weathered face, the neatly combed white hair, and remarkably clear eyes that seemed to hold a quiet wisdom. "Sir," the man addressed Vikram directly, "I apologize for interrupting your evening. Would you be able to spare anything from your meal?" The table fell silent. Vikram felt the investors watching him, testing his response. A flicker of something, perhaps a distant memory, surfaced briefly in his mind before he drowned it with irritation. "Do you know what this dinner costs?" Vikram asked, his voice sharp enough to draw attention from nearby tables. "More than you'd make in months. This isn't a charity kitchen. There are proper channels for people in your situation." The man didn't flinch. "I understand. Thank you for your time." Something about the calm dignity in the refusal stoked Vikram's anger further. Security should never have let you in. This restaurant has standards. A few diners looked away, embarrassed by the scene. Others watched with the detached interest of those observing someone else's discomfort. "The standards of a place," the elderly man said quietly, "are reflected in how they treat those with nothing to offer them." He turned to leave. "Next time," Vikram called after him, "try the shelter on MG Road. This isn't the railway station." The restaurant had gone unnaturally quiet. The man paused, his back to Vikram, shoulders slightly stooped but not broken. Then he continued his slow journey toward the exit. As conversations gradually resumed, the restaurant's entrance doors swung open again. A woman entered, her presence commanding immediate attention. She wore a simple but elegant midnight blue dress, her dark hair swept into a sophisticated updo. Several diners recognized her, whispering as she passed. Vikram froze mid-sentence, his glass halfway to his lips. The woman, Priya Mehra, founder of Ashray Foundation and one of India's most influential philanthropists, walked directly to the elderly man. Her face softened with concern as she placed a gentle hand on his shoulder. "Uncle Rajan," she said, loud enough for nearby tables to hear. "I asked you to wait in the car. You know the doctor said you need to rest." As she guided him toward the door, her eyes swept across the room, and for one brief, electric moment, locked with Vikram's. 15 years had passed since he'd seen those eyes. They showed no surprise at finding him there, only a flash of recognition before dismissing him entirely. The investors at Vikram's table didn't notice his shock or how the color had drained from his face as the pair disappeared through the doors. "Wasn't that Priya Mehra?" one investor asked. "Her foundation is doing remarkable work with sustainable housing." Vikram didn't answer. He was staring at the empty doorway, suddenly feeling as if he'd awakened from a 15-year sleep to find the world had changed around him. Shattered mirror. The morning after the restaurant incident, Vikram sat in his penthouse office, staring unseeing at the Bangalore skyline. The city sprawled below him like a vast circuit board, connections and pathways he had mastered long ago. But for the first time in years, he felt disconnected from the empire he had built. "Sir?" His assistant Deepak hovered at the door. "The investors from Singapore are waiting in the conference room." "Cancel it," Vikram said, his voice hollow. "Sir?" Deepak's eyes widened. In 7 years, Vikram had never canceled a meeting. "Reschedule. For next week. And get me everything you can find on Priya Mehra and the Ashray Foundation." After Deepak left, Vikram opened his laptop and searched for her name. The results were immediate and numerous. Priya Mehra, 38, founder of Ashray Foundation, which had revolutionized sustainable housing for displaced communities across India. Her innovations in low-cost, earthquake-resistant buildings had won international acclaim. A Forbes profile from last year estimated her foundation managed assets worth over $200 million. There she was in photos, cutting ribbons, speaking at the UN, standing beside world leaders. The small-town girl from Dehradun, who had once dreamed of making a difference, had done exactly that, without him. 15 years ago, they had been students together at IIT Delhi. Priya, brilliant and passionate, had captured his heart with her vision of using technology to solve India's housing crisis. They had planned a future together, until he met her family. The memories surfaced with painful clarity. Her father, Rajan Mehra, a schoolteacher who had spent his savings on his daughter's education. Their modest home, the way Priya's mother, had served him tea in their best cups, hands trembling slightly with pride that their daughter had brought home such a promising young man. He had ended things a week later. His family expected a certain type of match. His ambitions required connections, wealth, status. He couldn't afford to be tied to a family that would hold him back. "It's not personal," he had told her. "It's just business. My future requires certain sacrifices." Her response still haunted him. "One day, Vikram, you'll realize what you've truly sacrificed." He had married Naina, daughter of a tech magnate, 2 years later. The marriage had opened doors, as planned. It had also ended after 7 empty years, with Naina calling him a man who had traded his soul for success. They had no children, another sacrifice to his ambition. A notification popped up on his screen. Deepak had sent a file on Ashray Foundation. Vikram opened it and froze when he saw the organization's leadership team. There, listed as founding advisor and education director, was Rajan Mehra, the old man from the restaurant. The pieces fell into place with sickening clarity. The dignified old man he had humiliated was Priya's father. The teacher who had spent everything on his daughter's future was now helping shape her vision. Vikram's phone buzzed. A message from an unknown number. "The man you insulted yesterday is undergoing heart surgery at Manipal Hospital. Thought you should know. Priya." His stomach clenched. Not a word of accusation. No mention of their past. Just the cold facts and the weight of 15 years of silence. Within an hour, Vikram was at the hospital, having canceled his entire day. The receptionist directed him to the cardiac ward's waiting area. When the elevator doors opened, he saw Her immediately, Priya sat alone, staring at her clasped hands. She wore simple jeans and a kurta, hair pulled back in a practical ponytail, so different from the elegant woman at the restaurant, yet instantly familiar. The weight of years seemed to vanish between them. She looked up as he approached, her expression unreadable. "Why are you here?" she asked. No greeting, no preamble. For once, words failed him. "Is he all right?" "They're still operating. It was a mild heart attack. The doctor says his age is a factor, but he's strong." Her voice was controlled, professional, the voice she might use with any acquaintance. Vikram sat in a chair opposite, her maintaining a respectful distance. "I didn't know it was your father." Would it have mattered? The question hung between them, sharp and precise. Before he could answer, a doctor emerged from the operating theater. "Miss Mehra, your father is stable. The procedure went well." Relief washed over Priya's face, the first real emotion Vikram had seen. "Thank you, doctor. When can I see him?" "In about an hour. He'll need to rest, but he's asking for you." After the doctor left, the silence between them grew heavier. "He never stopped believing in you," Priya finally said, so quietly Vikram almost missed it. "Even after what you did to us, to me, he would defend you. That young man has lost his way," he would say, "but someday he'll find it again." Each word struck Vikram like a physical blow. "I was wrong," he said. "About everything." Priya gathered her bag, preparing to leave. 15 years too late, Vikram. Let me help. With medical bills, anything." She turned to him, eyes flashing with sudden anger. "We don't need your money. We never did. What we needed was for you to see us. Really see us. As people, not stepping stones or obstacles." She took a deep breath, regaining her composure. "Thank you for coming. But please don't contact us again." As she walked away, Vikram remained seated, the weight of his choices pressing down on him. Through the hospital window, he could see his office tower, in the distance, gleaming in the afternoon sun, a monument to everything he had gained and everything he had lost. Reflection's edge. The weeks following Rajan Mehra's surgery unfolded in a blur for Vikram. By day, he moved through his life with mechanical precision, meetings, acquisitions, the endless expansion of his tech empire. But his nights were haunted by memories and questions. He found himself researching Priya's foundation obsessively, reading every article, watching every interview. The Ashray Foundation had begun in a single room 10 years ago, when Priya had used her engineering skills to design affordable housing that could withstand India's monsoon seasons. What started as a small NGO had grown into an internationally recognized organization, partnering with governments across South Asia. And through it all, her father had been by her side, the same man Vikram had dismissed as insignificant. On impulse, Vikram made an anonymous donation to the foundation, $5 million. The next day, it was returned with a simple note. Ashray Foundation accepts only transparent donations from aligned partners. Management. She had known it was from him. During a board meeting, Vikram found himself distracted by a presentation on corporate social responsibility. "Our public image needs work," the PR director was saying. "Surveys show we're perceived as innovative but ruthless. Partnering with a respected humanitarian organization could help." "What about Ashray Foundation?" someone suggested. The room went quiet at Vikram's sharp laugh. "They wouldn't work with us." "How can you be sure? Their sustainable housing initiatives align perfectly with our smart city technologies." Vikram didn't answer. How could he explain that the bridge to Ashray Foundation had been burned 15 years ago by his own hand? After the meeting, his friend and CFO Arjun followed him into his office. "What's going on with you? First you cancel meetings, now." You're dismissing promising partnerships. This isn't like you. Vikram considered deflecting, as he always did when conversations turned personal. Instead, something broke within him. I knew her. Priya Mehra. We were together at university. Recognition dawned on Arjun's face. The restaurant. That old man was her father. Vikram moved to the window. I left her because her family wasn't connected enough. Because I thought they would hold me back. Arjun sat heavily in a chair. And now she's changing the world. And you're wondering if you made the right choice. I know I didn't. The admission felt strange on Vikram's tongue. He never acknowledged mistakes. The question is whether it's too late to make amends. That evening, Vikram drove himself to a modest neighborhood on the outskirts of Bangalore. According to his research, this was where Priya lived, not in a mansion or luxury apartment, but in a middle-class community where her foundation had built its first housing project. He parked across from a small park and waited, not entirely sure what he was doing. As dusk fell, he saw her, walking with a group of children, apparently returning from some kind of class. She carried art supplies and laughed at something one of the children said. Priya looked happy, fulfilled in a way that all his wealth couldn't buy. She said goodbye to the children at various houses until she was alone, approaching a simple but elegant home with a small garden. Vikram got out of his car, heart pounding. Priya, she turned, surprise giving way to wariness. Are you following me now? I needed to talk to you. About your foundation, about a potential partnership. Her expression hardened. This is my home, Vikram, not my office. If you want to discuss business, make an appointment like everyone else. It's not just about business. He took a step forward. I was wrong all those years ago. I've been trying to find a way to tell you, stop. She held up her hand. You don't get to ease your conscience at my expense, not now. A door opened behind her. Rajan Mehra stood there, looking frailer than at the restaurant, but standing tall. Priya, is everything all right? Everything's fine, Papa. Mr. Singh was just leaving. Rajan's eyes met Vikram's with a look of profound disappointment that cut, deeper than any anger could have. Young man, he said quietly, some lessons cannot be learned through success alone. As Priya led her father back inside, Vikram remained on the sidewalk, the gulf between them seeming wider than ever. The door closed with a gentle but definitive click. Driving home, Vikram realized that the empire he had built now felt hollow. He had everything he had ever wanted, and it meant nothing. The revelation didn't come as a dramatic epiphany, but as a quiet truth that had been waiting for him to finally listen. Broken bridges. 3 months passed. Vikram threw himself into work with renewed intensity, but with a different focus. He began steering Horizon Innovations toward socially responsible projects, much to his board's confusion. He initiated clean water technology programs in rural areas and funded educational technology for underprivileged schools. His PR team was delighted by the positive press, but Vikram refused all interviews. This wasn't about publicity. It was about finding his way back to the person he might have been. On a rainy Tuesday afternoon, Vikram's assistant announced an unexpected visitor, Rajan Mehra. The elderly man entered Vikram's office slowly, declining. Assistance. Though still thin, he looked stronger than the last time Vikram had seen him. Mr. Mehra. Vikram rose from his desk, heart racing. Please sit down. Can I offer you something to drink? No, thank you. Rajan settled into a chair, looking around at the minimalist luxury of the office. You've done well for yourself. By certain measures, Vikram acknowledged. How are you feeling? After your surgery? Better each day. The doctors say I'm stubborn enough to live another decade. His eyes crinkled with humor. I haven't told my daughter about this visit. She wouldn't approve. Vikram sat across from him. Why are you here, sir? Rajan studied him for a long moment. I've been watching what you've been doing these past months. The Clean Water Initiative in Maharashtra. The school programs in Tamil Nadu. He nodded approvingly. Good work. Thank you, Vikram said, surprised by how much the simple praise affected him. I've come to invite you to a ceremony. Ashray is opening its 100th housing community next week. It represents everything my daughter has worked for. Vikram frowned in confusion. I don't understand. Priya made it clear she wants nothing to do with me. Yes, she did. Rajan's eyes were kind but firm. And that remains her choice. I'm not asking you to come for her, or even for yourself. I'm asking you to come and see what can be built when we value people over profit. The old teacher's words hung in the air between them. Before Vikram could respond, Rajan continued. 15 years ago, you judged our family unworthy of your future. Perhaps now you can judge our work on its own merits. Vikram felt shame wash over him. I was wrong about your family. About what matters. Perhaps. Rajan stood slowly. The ceremony is next Thursday at noon. Come if you wish to learn. Stay away if you're only seeking absolution. After Rajan left, Vikram sat motionless, the rain streaming down his office windows like tears he couldn't shed. The following Thursday, Vikram arrived at the ceremony site, a newly completed community of elegant, sustainable homes on what had once been a landfill. Hundreds of people gathered under a large pavilion as Priya addressed the crowd, speaking passionately about dignity, sustainability, and hope. Vikram stayed at the back, listening as she explained how these homes would house families who had lost everything in the recent floods, how the community center would provide education and health care, how solar panels and rainwater harvesting would make the community self-sufficient. This was the vision she had shared with him all those years ago, now realized through her own determination and brilliance. After the speeches, as people mingled and toured the model homes, Vikram found himself face-to-face with Priya. Her expression cooled when she saw him. My father invited you. Yes, Vikram admitted. What you've built here is remarkable. It's what I always said was possible. Her eyes challenged him. Even when you told me I was naive. The memory stung. I was wrong about many things. They stood in uncomfortable silence until Priya finally spoke. Why are you really here, Vikram? Is this about easing your conscience? Or trying to win me back now that I'm successful enough for your world? Neither, he said quietly. I'm here because I need to understand what I gave up when I chose wrong, not just you, but the chance to build something meaningful. For the first time, he saw a flicker of something other than coldness in her eyes. And what have you learned? That I've spent 15 years building an empire that helps no one. That success without purpose is just organized greed. He met her gaze directly. That I was so afraid of being held back, I never realized you were trying to lead me forward. Priya's professional mask slipped, revealing a glimpse of old pain. You broke my heart. I know. You judged my family based on their bank account, not their character. I did. And now you want... What exactly? Vikram shook his head. I don't expect forgiveness or a second chance. I just want to help if you'll let me. Your foundation's work aligns with technologies my company has developed. We could scale your impact tenfold. Priya studied him, weighing his words. This isn't about us. If you're serious about partnership, submit a formal proposal to our board. They'll evaluate it like any other. Thank you, he said, understanding this was the most she could offer. As she turned to leave, she paused. My father believes people can change. I'm not so sure. Neither am I, Vikram admitted. But I'm trying. She nodded once, then walked away, to greet other guests, leaving Vikram standing alone amidst the celebration of everything he could have been part of. The weight of silence. 1 year later, the partnership between Horizon Innovations and Ashray Foundation had transformed both organizations. Vikram's technology accelerated Priya's housing solutions, while her vision gave his company a purpose, beyond profit. They worked through intermediaries, rarely meeting in person, a professional distance that protected them both. Vikram had changed, his colleagues noticed. He spoke less, but listened more. He declined awards and redirected praise to his team. The ruthless businessman was evolving into something unexpected, a leader with both vision and compassion. The anniversary of their partnership, Vikram received news that shook him to his core. Rajan Mehra had suffered another heart attack, more severe than the first. He was in intensive care, his condition critical. Without thinking, Vikram canceled all appointments and drove to the hospital. The waiting room was filled with people, students. Rajan had taught, families from Ashray communities, colleagues from the foundation, all touched by one modest teacher's life. Priya wasn't in the waiting room. A staff member told him she hadn't left her father's side in 24 hours. Vikram sent a message. "I'm here if you need anything." Hours passed. Night fell. Most visitors reluctantly departed, but Vikram remained, working quietly on his laptop in a corner of the waiting room. Near midnight, his phone buzzed with a reply. "He's asking for you." Heart pounding, Vikram followed a nurse to the ICU. Priya stood when he entered, exhaustion evident in the shadows beneath her eyes. "He's been drifting in and out," she said softly. "But he was very clear about wanting to see you." Rajan lay connected to monitors and tubes, looking smaller than Vikram remembered. His eyes opened as Vikram approached the bed. "Ah, the young man who found his way," Rajan whispered, his voice barely audible. Vikram carefully took the old man's hand. "Thanks to your guidance, sir." Rajan smiled faintly. "No, you had to walk the path yourself." His breathing was labored. "I need to ask something of you. Anything," Vikram promised. "The education centers. Promise me you'll see them completed. The children need—" A coughing fit interrupted him. "I promise," Vikram said firmly. "Every center will be built. I'll oversee them personally." Rajan nodded, satisfied. He turned his gaze to his daughter. "Priya, my stubborn, brilliant girl. Forgiveness isn't just for others, Beta. It's for yourself, too." Tears slipped down Priya's cheeks as she kissed her father's forehead. "Rest, Papa. Save your strength." But Rajan's eyes returned to Vikram. "You asked once why I came to that restaurant." His voice was fading. "I knew you would be there. I wanted to see what kind of man you had become." Vikram felt tears threatening. "And what did you see?" "A man who had everything and nothing." Rajan squeezed his hand weakly. "But now, I see a man who might yet find what truly matters." The monitors beeped steadily as Rajan closed his eyes. "Talk to each other," he murmured. "Life is too short for silence." They sat with him through the night, Vikram and Priya on opposite sides of the bed, connected by the frail hand between them. Near dawn, Rajan Mehra took his last breath, passing peacefully in his sleep. The days that followed were a blur of grief and ceremony. Hundreds attended Rajan's funeral, each with stories of how the humble teacher had touched their lives. Vikram stood at a respectful distance, watching as Priya received condolences with quiet dignity. A week later, as Bangalore was washed clean by monsoon rains, Vikram found Priya waiting in the lobby of his office building. "I didn't expect to see you here," he said, surprised. "I've been thinking about what Papa said." She looked tired, but resolute. "About the weight of silence." They went to a small cafe nearby, sitting by a window that overlooked the rain-soaked city. "I found this," Priya said, sliding a weathered envelope across the table. "It was in Papa's papers. He wrote it years ago, apparently." Vikram opened it carefully. Inside was a letter in Rajan's neat handwriting. To Vikram Singh, if you are reading this, I am gone. I have watched you from afar all these years. I saw your successes and your failures. I saw you build an empire of glass and steel, but lose the foundation of what makes a life worthwhile. When I came to that restaurant, it was indeed to see what man you had become. I was disappointed but not surprised. Success without purpose hardens the heart, but I have lived long enough to know that people can change when they finally understand what they have lost. You are changing now. Too late for the past, perhaps, but not too late for the future. My daughter carries wounds you inflicted, as I'm sure you carry your own. Healing begins with truth. I ask only this: be honest with each other. The rest will follow as it should. With hope, Rajan Mehra Vikram folded the letter carefully, too moved to speak immediately. He never stopped believing in second chances, Priya said softly, even for someone who didn't deserve one. Priya considered him thoughtfully. The man who mocked my father in that restaurant didn't deserve one. I'm not sure about the man sitting across from me now. A fragile silence stretched. Between them, not comfortable but no longer hostile. I'm not asking for forgiveness, Vikram finally said, or for us to be what we were. Too much has happened. Then what are you asking for? A chance to honor your father's memory, to continue our work together, not just through intermediaries, and perhaps, he hesitated, perhaps a chance to know who you've become, as colleagues, as equals. Rain streamed down the cafe window, blurring the world outside. Priya looked at him for a long moment, then nodded slowly. Equals, she agreed. That's somewhere to begin. It wasn't forgiveness or reconciliation, not yet. But as they sat in that quiet cafe with Rajan's letter between them and the rain washing the city clean, it was something just as precious. The possibility of a new path forward, shaped by the wisdom of an old teacher who had seen value where Vikram had once seen only status. Outside, the storm began to clear, and weak sunlight broke through the clouds, illuminating the changed city below.